no, I can't imagine, when your job is dealing with loss.
Okay, ready on the
It's
left?
gotta take a turn.
Ready on the right?
Emotional.
We've got our TV cameraman that's giving me the okay and the thumbs up, so I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Calaveras Council of Governments meeting for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2014. I would invite you all to rise and join me in the Pledge to Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. First items of the agenda are consent agenda items 1 through 7. Consent agenda items are generally considered to be routine and non-controversial and are generally enacted by the board in one motion unless any member of the board, the public, or staff want to pull an item from consent for further discussion prior to the vote. So I'll just see if the board or staff want to pull an item from the consent agenda this evening. Does any member of the public want to pull an item from consent prior to the vote? Chair is open to a motion on the entirety of the consent agenda, items 1 through 7.
So moved.
Councilmember Morris moves the item.
Second.
Councilmember Edson seconds the item. I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None noted. That passes unanimously.
Chairman, I'm abstaining as I was not there for the last meeting to approve the minutes.
Okay, and yes, let the record reflect that also Councilmember Debbie Ponte is absent this evening. We do not have the alternate. So Carly will record that throughout the rest of the evening that there is one absent. And in this particular vote, Mr. Gomes is going to abstain from the approval of the minutes, item number 1. Okay, thank you, John, for that. I'll move then to the regular agenda. Item number 8 is first up, public comment, 5 minutes per person. 15 minutes per topic. Any member of the public that would like to address the board on an item that's not already scheduled for a discussion on a later agenda item, I welcome you to step to the podium and make your public comments at this time. All right, we'll move past the public comment to the county report. And I understand that there's some information on that. Good to see you, Mr. Packinger. Welcome, and you'll be making the report on behalf of the county this evening.
That's correct. Thank you. Robert Packinger, Public Works Department. The first thing I should let you know is that Mike Miller has resigned his position as Interim Public Works Director. But of course, the department's committed to continue working on the projects, and all the workers are still here working. Next item, wagon trail. The geometric approval drawings were approved by Caltrans last Friday. That clears that significant milestone, and they continue working on the project. The San Andreas Mountain Ranch Road widening project, we had a meeting this morning with the utilities coordinating the Rule 20 effort. The Rule 20 project is the undergrounding of the lines that are currently on the poles. So we had our first meeting with the engineering firm, Docking Engineering. It went well. We have a lot of work to do. The schedule there is right-of-way work and engineering, the completion of the engineering work next year, 2015, with construction to take place in 2016. That's the current schedule. The 1226 project, we have, as you have known, 2 properties that we have right-of-way agreements executed by the Board of Supervisors. The other 2, my understanding is those are imminent. That's the Singh property with the gas station and the Norrie property. The Marval property, they have taken the right-of-way agreement to their board, so once their board approves that right-of-way agreement, we'll take that to our Board of Supervisors for final approval. And that's what's currently going on.
Okay, questions or comments from Mr. Packinger this evening? Bob, I do understand. I just learned this evening that Mr. Miller had to resign for, I guess, family matters.
Yes.
So if you could convey to him, my personal, thanks for his good work, and I would also ask our executive director, as long as the board concurs, to write a letter to Mike and let him know that we will be missing him. I think he did a great job while he was here, and wish him the best in whatever matters he's having to deal with, that it comes out, in a good way. So if you could give him my personal thoughts in that regard, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And then
Thank
we'll have
you.
the board, again, if the board approves.
Good idea.
Here's what you are, Melissa, if you could take care of that on our behalf, that would be great.
Will do.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, item number 10, there's 3 items here. I guess they're all informational. Ms. Mullen is our interim, I guess, still transit manager, so if you could lead the discussion on item number 10, Deborah, thank you.
Thank you. Just, I'm not the transit manager, and I'm not the interim, but I'm the public works analyst, fulfilling the functions of the transit manager. I don't know if that makes a difference, but
You're the transit manager.
the first item is the transit capital projects, and we have buses on the way that are hopefully going to be here by the end of this month. Those are the Freightliners, the big buses, and soon we'll be ordering the smaller ones too, after we've gotten the allocation request and through PTMI SEA. So buses and bus shelter project is moving forward, working on the plans. We've drafted a license agreement for constructing a shelter on the private property of La Quintana Plaza. That's the little shopping center at the intersection of Vista del Lago and State Route 26. And the property owner he likes the agreement we've drafted, and so that won't be a hindrance to that. And that's where we currently have a bus stop. This will be a shelter at the far corner of the lot. And it'll be great because the shelter won't have to be down in the state right-of-way, which had some hazards.
What side is that on?
It's the shopping center that has the pizza.
Right.
Okay. So we're working on that, and we're talking to the owner of Treat Store to working on through some concerns about that location for the shelter. So I'll move on to B unless somebody has any questions about the capital
Unless somebody
project.
signals you, Deborah, just go ahead.
I'm going to move forward. The Cal OES funding request, we have requested an extension for those funds for that project. That request is in your packet, but we have not heard yet back from Cal OES. But I don't think that's a problem. And we have gotten an extension for the FTA 5317 funds through to June of 2015. We have the quarterly reports for you, third quarter, fourth quarter reports. A little tardy, but we worked pretty carefully on the numbers to be able to bring them to you with a certain degree of confidence. The third quarter report, know what you like to notice on that. Ridership was up. My understanding that's a function of college being in session, and then ridership falls off a bit in the fourth quarter. As usual, you have your routes that are getting a lot of ridership and a better fare box recovery ratio. The Route 1, Valley Springs to Angels Camp, you see the fare box recovery ratio is 12.02, which helps carry the lower producing routes like the one to Mountain Ranch and West Point. Move on to the fourth quarter because that brings us kind of some year-end numbers. The good news is that we make the 10% goal, fare box recovery ratio. It was 10.07. The even better news is that that number will be stronger when we take out the capital maintenance portion. We had a lot of capital expenses engine work, big engine work, and replacement of things with initials that I don't know what they mean, so I won't say. But we can do that and bring in even stronger fare box recovery ratio. There too, the Route 2, it has so few passengers that a little bit of fluctuation shows up as a big change. But I think we're going to work on some ways to make that route more cost-effective, hopefully by using a smaller vehicle to serve it and maybe being able to go places and get people that need the service. That's something we'll be working on in the coming months. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Jim, I see you've got an interest. Go ahead.
Just an interesting question. We keep exceeding the goals for average passengers per service hour, average passengers per vehicle service mile. Where did those goals come from? We're exceeding them by so much.
I know. That's from the 2009 Short-Range Transit Plan,
I see, so we're going to,
and that is under being updated as we speak.
the goals likely,
We'll see, yeah. We'll try this, yeah.
So one thing that might help is next year Delta College plans on ramping it up a little bit with some classes here in town. And I heard that they're going to do an automotive technician class. They have a bunch of students already wanting to sign up for that. And we're trying to get more technical type classes here because that's what people are interested in. I got the hospital to agree to have classes over there, for like EMT or paramedic or even the beginnings of a nursing program.
Where is that going to be?
Where's what? Gonna be?
The classes, the Delta,
They would be
at Delta? Or
here at the high school.
At the high school.
Yeah, here in town. And also Columbia College and Delta College have met, and it looks like they're going to try to collaborate on some classes so there would be less out-of-town opportunities, more in-county opportunities for students to stay here and travel between Angels Camp and here for classes. So,
In addition, they can complement that with our intercity service that we'll be providing next year to Stockton. So,
I'm just kind of partial to keeping it here. So I'm hopeful that that'll help quite a bit.
well, let us know, maybe keep us in the loop on,
I'm starting spring. Right now, they have 4 classes, and they started last week. So I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but they're all at Calaveras High School right now. Okay.
Anyone else? Yes, John.
Even walking in this evening, there was a gentleman waiting for, I guess, the West Point route to take him home. And he made a comment to me asking first what this meeting was, and I explained it was a transit, the COG meeting. He says, well, any chance they're going to start doing a midday run to West Point? And I know that several years ago we had 3, I believe there were 3 runs up the hill, morning, midday, and an evening, and they took out the midday runs to Copper and the midday runs to West Point. Just logically thinking, if you're using public transit to go one place for the entire day is rather difficult, whereas if you were able to go for a morning appointment or evening appointment, I didn't know if, as part of senior fare box ratio getting covered the way it is, if in lines with using a smaller bus that may be more efficient, serving these smaller utilized routes, if you would have the ability in addition to add a midday route to make it more convenient for those folks up and down the hill.
it's potentially possible, and I think that if we are able to get a minivan, it will actually be able to go places. We'll be able to change that route and be able to pick up people who want to use the service, but right now can't get to the main road, can't get to State Route 26 or Railroad Flat Road to pick it up.
Now, is that the third vehicle that we're getting? I know you had 2 Freightliners and then a third.
We're 2
van.
Freightliners, and then we're going to get 2 Class C, which is 16 passengers. But in addition to that, we have on the plan, we've applied for a grant for a minivan, and I think we're going to buy one anyway with PTMI SEA funds.
So the other thing that I'm working on right now is with the hospital is trying to get the VA to accept contracted services to them so that our veterans in this county, which we have between 12 and 16% of our total population, try to get them to stay here as well, which means there will be additional need for that public transportation. So.
Yes, I've talked to some of the veterans groups who told me, yeah, what we need is service that gets them wherever it is in the valley that provides service and early in the morning, and it was not a
Yeah, so right now it's in Sonora. Sonora is where the VA is. And then,
So yeah, we would be able to work with that.
So Deborah, I think it's a good time now that we're looking at the PTMI SEA expenditure plan, and with Supervisor Edson's comment, I also did hear this discussed with the Board of Supervisors, maybe to look at the transit capital money, to look at our coordinated human services transportation plan, because there's an element in there that discusses that transportation services, and then it might be a good opportunity to work with the county BSO and look at opportunities where we might coordinate with Calaveras Transit, look at our transit capital funding, and see if there's a way that we could enhance the transportation issues of the veterans in Calaveras County.
and one other thing, right?
Yes.
The early release program.
Oh, yes. This was a discussion that we heard, and Debbie, I'm not sure if I had a chance to mention it to you as well, but, actually we did. We did have a chance to meet and talk about this. That in San Andreas, the local businesses have let the Calaveras Council of Governments know that there's panhandling going on with prisoners when they're released from jail. Supposedly they're released with a card, but it's not cash that they can use to purchase a bus ticket. So then they come to local businesses and panhandle. This was part of a bigger economic development discussion with the local businesses. So I think that's something that we can partner Calaveras Transit with the Sheriff's Office and maybe find a solution to that issue where prisoners aren't being released to ask for money to ride our transit system.
Okay, all good comments. Anyone else? Okay, Deborah, thank you very much for that report. We're going to be coming back up and actually talking about the PTMI SEA in item number 13. So we will move to the city report at this time. Mr. Hammond is here. If you'd like to step forward, Dave, make your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a lot tonight. Just wanted to follow up on a couple of items. One is our CMAQ grant. We're still moving forward on that. It's going a little slower than what we got our first invoice in, and we're working on the RFP. So looking forward to get that done. The second thing is that where the city is having their public hearing on the Marchway Medical Center. It went to the council, and then we've done some work over the last couple of months, and now it's going back to the planning commission. So next week. So look forward to that, and that's pretty. Oh, and last night we'll probably talk about it a little bit later, but the city adopted a resolution approving Highway 4 and 49 as principal arterials as part of entering the national highway system. So we got that completed as well. So other than that, unless there are any questions about city projects, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions? Comments? Next up, Mr. Gedney, Caltrans report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John Gedney, Caltrans District 10. I'd like to echo your sentiments on Mike Miller, and offer my best wishes to him and his family as well. It was he was a pleasure to work with, and hopefully he'll be back soon and be here with us. But it's a big loss for the county.
Thank you, John.
We did receive notification on the active transportation program, the ATP, the city or the county had offered, or the community had provided an application for the San Andreas Mobility Plan. Missed it by a skosh, just almost a rounding error. It was that close. Right, Melissa, but we did receive the comments back from the reviewers, and they were not anything real substantive. They were just almost house cleaning type of comments. So I think it would be really wise to review these comments and resubmit for the next cycle for next year. And also, they did recognize there needs to be a separation between the rural and urban applications. The awards this time were really dominated by the urban areas, so they did recognize that. And then in keeping with your conversation just a few moments ago, there was a call for projects for our next planning grant cycle. It was just announced yesterday, and applications are due October 31st, so there's a real tight time frame to get these submitted. You did get an award on the previous cycle under the Strategic Partnerships Program, and that's what we're working on, the Dogtown Road, 449 access for Angels Camp. That's that project, so it might not have a lot of time or a project to submit for that program, but there is the Sustainable Communities program, and I think I probably want to refer that to more as an economically sustainable communities program, in keeping with our new mission statement for Caltrans. We're no longer improve mobility across California. We are improve economy and livability, and among other things, but mainly we're focused on and helping improve the economic well-being of the state. And so I think this would be something that really in line with what you're just speaking about, identify stakeholders to address mobility deficiencies in the multimodal transportation system, encourage stakeholder collaboration, involve active public engagement, ultimately result in program system improvements. So everything you just spoke about, I think, is really applicable for this program. I think you would have a good chance to get funded for that. And then finally, just to follow up on the success in San Andreas, the cleanup. Carly, that was a great project, and I remember I was... Call me, John. Well, you were the chair. You were the chair. Take some credit.
The coordinator.
The coordinator. Supervisor Edson, you had mentioned maybe taking the show on the road, so I do have some information on the Adopt a Highway program for routes 12 and 26 throughout the county, if you care to follow up with that and keep the momentum going. So with that, I'd be happy to address any concerns or questions you may have.
Okay, questions or comments from Mr. Gedney?
Well, John and I talked about 1226, and so when that gets all settled out and it's done, then we can do it there. And the idea is to, I will have plenty of volunteers in that area to kind of improve that area aesthetically a little bit. Appreciate your...
Good timing on that, right after the project gets completed, maybe in the springtime then? Okay. Thank you, Supervisor.
Very good, yeah, and stick around, John. Item number 19, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the historic San Andreas Community Cleanup Day that Ms. Kane put together and ran ably, so...
Good, very good.
Yeah, stick around.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that is all for the information items, county, city, and Caltrans report, along with transit. So we'll move now to item number 13. This is a resolution in action, and Ms. Mullen will lead the discussion on this. Resolution fiscal year 1505 approving a revised public transportation modernization improvement and service enhancement account, PTMISEA. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Expenditure plan for transit capital project. Ms. Mullen, if you would introduce the topic, please, and let us know what this is about.
All right, well, the first part of this is the corrective action plan that reduces the cost of the two buses I mentioned that are on their way by the end of the month. They weren't quite as expensive as had been originally thought, so the corrective action plan is to reduce the amount for that from $318,338 to $299,727. The other part is the revised expenditure plan, which continues with more bus purchases and some kind of miscellaneous capital items, tools, equipment for bus maintenance, and radios, which will have an AVL element to them, and then a phase 4 bus stop improvement project, which is not entirely fleshed out, but will include 2 bus stop improvements in the city of Angels Camp.
Okay.
Melissa might have something to add.
No, thank you, Deborah did a great job, and I just wanted to highlight for the city, Deborah's work with the COG in the city and the development of this PTI and SEA plan. You'll probably remember in the previous plans we approved, we had placeholders, that there was $1.6 million and we didn't have a strategy. So Calaveras Transit and Deborah has worked with the city and myself to identify a prioritized list of projects. As she mentioned, we do have Phase 4 bus stop improvements. 2 of those include bus stops in the city of Angels. One, the city council approved by the Chicken Barn. We've also identified a gap fill sidewalk project from the high school leading to the proposed bus stop facility. The other will be a bus stop somewhere in the north city limits. So we're waiting from city engineers to get us cost estimates. Once we have those estimates, then we can refine this budget number. We do have a balance in this plan, so there is funding to increase that if the costs or the estimates come in higher than we're anticipating, but that won't be added to the county's budget officially until we have those cost estimates. So I just wanted to thank Deborah and the county for putting together a prioritized list of capital projects for transit, and we're happy to have an official plan now that we feel pretty confident in submitting to the state.
Questions or comments on this item? You know, Deborah, I can't let it go by without just pointing out tools and equipment, $57,000, and radio purchases, $46,000. That seems wildly excessive
Well, the
to me. How
equipment-
does that come up?
The equipment, yes, and the radio, also, you're right, but what we're trying to do on the radio is, it's more than radios, it's AVL, a vehicle locator. It'll be some better way of communicating, keeping track of the buses and informing two-way information system. And I can tell you, I talked to some people about it, and I cannot repeat much of what they told me. So that part of things is still a learning process. And we're going to, there's some service involved, and we want to bundle that to go out a few years as a part of that initial purchase.
Well, who compiled those numbers to say that it's going to take $46,000 for the purchase of radios? As I understand it, you've only got 3 new buses, so.
Oh, no, it'll be, the radios need replacement in all the buses,
so
and
it's
also
system-wide.
the office, oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's system-wide, and so that also means that the
and
tools
the-
and equipment
Yeah,
are
oh, yeah,
meant for the entire fleet system-wide.
that is correct.
Okay.
And
Well,
there too, the number's not firm.
all right. Well, you know, I wouldn't hold this up this evening, but if later on you could provide some background information and justification on what tools and equipment you're purchasing for
I do have a list, and I will
$57,000
be happy to
and then,
provide that.
The purchase of radios, what that means, I would appreciate seeing that.
And we felt confident, Paul, with the amount that they identified. Previously, they had the AVL, the estimate was much higher. And then with the maintenance equipment and tools, just recognizing that the county maintenance shop took over transit maintenance without having the capacity to provide for that. I think that there is talk about, especially with the maintenance organizational analysis and cost structure evaluation, I think the county is evaluating their options for transit maintenance. And so I think that this will benefit the existing facility if it continues to be with Calaveras County so that they have the lifts and the equipment that they need to maintain the vehicles, or if the county does need to go in and set up a new shop over at the maintenance facility where paratransit is the operator. The county specified that they wanted to own the equipment so that if the contract with paratransit terminated, that they would own the equipment, they would have the flexibility should that be the option that they pursue. And Deborah did, I believe, have a list of the equipment that she had identified as a need, and that was something that came out of the maintenance evaluation, is that they are desperate for equipment.
So it's 7,000 to set up a shop, not employees.
Yeah, well, if you're buying lifts and things like that, those are expensive items, so, okay, so it makes sense. So staff is comfortable with that, the board looks like it's comfortable with that, so.
Deborah, if you could still provide, though, that itemized list would be good.
Yeah, that would-
And we have definitely talked to staff about getting very serious about narrowing down these cost estimates, and we will remain committed to doing that as well.
Any other questions or comments on this item? Comments from the audience on this item before I call for the vote? The chair is open to a motion on item number 13, resolution number fiscal year 1505.
So moved.
Second. The motion and a second by council members Combs and Gomes. For further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None noted. That passes on a 6-1. Councilmember Pompey absent, vote to hold. Okay, we'll move on then to item number 14. This is resolution fiscal year 1502, amending the Calaveras Council of Governments Conflict of Interest Code. And Ms. Kane is coming off the bench. And you're up, Carly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for announcing that. Staff recommends the council approve resolution number 1502, amending the Calaveras Council of Governments Conflict of Interest Code. COG filers will no longer be required to file their Form 700 with the county. This responsibility was delegated to agencies by the Board of Supervisors on June 17, 2014. The Administrative Services Officer for the Calaveras Council of Governments will now be acting as a filing officer. The Fair Political Practice Commission has recommended a new shorter conflict of interest code, which is attached and legal counsel has reviewed. If there are any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
The only thing I see is it looks like, Jim, you've looked at this and you're fine with the changes and recommendations.
Yeah, with the FPPC, did make it shorter, but they just adopted a form and we're incorporating their form, so it will always be.
And who adopted the form?
The FPPC.
So
It's
that,
still 15 pages long, but.
yeah, they said it's okay to have the county not be the Form 700.
And this has already gone to the Board of Supervisors, so you guys have taken action on it.
So I
So
was just a little bit worried about that.
this is ministerial for our board, it appears. So is there any other comment or questions about this? Comments or questions from the audience on this item? Okay, the chair is open to a motion on item number 14, resolution fiscal year 1502.
So moved.
Councilmember Edson moves the item. Councilmember Morris seconds the item. I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none noted. Passes on a 601 vote of the board. Okay, item number, where are we at here? Item number 15 is the ratification of city and county approval for the reclassification of State Route 4 to the principal arterial and request for inclusion in the National Highway System. This actually says it's informational, but reading closely, I see that this is a request for action by the board by minute order. So, Ms. Collins, would you introduce that topic, please?
Thank you, Chair, good evening, Council. The discussion of the NHS was brought to the Council in March. Our Executive Director and John Kevin provided a presentation of what the NHS is, what the benefits and drawbacks are, and any issues that they saw with designation. And since then, Cal Transit staff has worked with the county and our neighboring counties along Highway 49 to get, and successfully got SR 49 included in the NHS and reclassified as principal arterial. We are now working with Caltrans staff to get SR 4 from SR 49 Angels Camp to Stockton City Limits, reclassified to a principal arterial, and then in the NHS. It's kind of a two-step process. We first have to get reclassification and then request inclusion in the NHS. So this item tonight is requesting you approve a minute order, which will allow us to provide a concurrence letter for city and county actions. Full city and county provided resolutions requesting the reclassification and NHS designation, and will allow us to move forward in the process for conference. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments on this item?
Just one question. How is the coordination going with Stanislaus and San Joaquin County? Do you foresee any hangups on their coming on board as well?
I will be touching base with them when we go to submit and following up, but when we initiated the discussions, we had support from both the Stanislaus Executive Director and our partners at COG. So it'll be a matter of requesting the letter of concurrence from their governing boards. And so then at that point, it will be in the hands of their governing boards. But at the time we spoke of it, when we had last presented, we had staff support to continue moving this forward.
Jim?
We talked about this several times. I wasn't clear that would actually be coming back for the COG to essentially endorse and approve. I know John answered some questions. I have a little nagging concern about unanticipated consequences, because we had a lot of questions about what the NHS designation potentially could mean. And maybe, John, if I could, I understood two things. One, that you indicated our encroachment approval process wouldn't significantly change from what it is today, even with the redesignation and the NHS. And also, there was some flexibility, I think you indicated, with billboards for like Mercer Caverns, and that the setback in the NHS would be able to be changed. Can we commit to those things, or do we hope that's the case?
No, I think that is the case. We talked about this, we did talk about this before, and there's an Outdoor Advertising Act that Caltrans follows. And it was started with the interstate system. That's where that 660-foot setback originated. And over time, there have been so many amendments and exceptions to those requirements that it really has gotten watered down significantly. Anything in the incorporated commercial areas is accepted out. Really just holds for unincorporated areas, but even in that regard, it would take a survey from a headquarters staff who, frankly, wasn't really interested in returning my email request on these implications. So I don't know if I can put it in an ironclad, put it in blood for you, but they're just, if you read through the legislation over the years, you'll see that just about there's an exception that can be generated based on economic development concerns of a community, primarily.
Okay, I thought of this coming up from Oak Hill. There's a relatively new billboard for Mercer Caverns, and it helps with tourism.
Right, and that's all you need to say. That's all you need to say, really. If it's an economic benefit to the community, then we're not going to touch it.
Okay, with those, and am I understanding that the encroachment is pretty accurate? It's going to continue to be as obnoxious as it has
That I can guarantee.
Okay, actually, I with that, and certainly deference to the city and the county as the lead local agencies, but it might be helpful for the record to indicate what assurances we're moving forward on and all.
Also, Amber, I wanted to clarify one question, if I may. Is that okay? I was wondering, is it possible now to move forward with the reclassification to a principal arterial and then not have the NHS designation approved?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think I was confused because I remember under map 21 it was saying that all principal arterials were automatically included into the NHS, but that was a snapshot in time. Okay, so I misspoke in my response on that. So it sounds like it is possible to be in principal arterial and not be included in the NHS.
That's my
Right.
Yeah, when map 21 was passed, it was a one-time, all principal arterials up until that point were included in NHS.
We're taking action on both aspects tonight. We're ratifying both.
We're requesting the designation and the reclassification tonight. Caltrans will receive the request for reclassification. It doesn't automatically mean that if it's reclassified, it's included in the NHS. We have to make the case for the NHS as well.
I have a question. NHS is federal, right?
Yes.
So how are you guys going to have influence over what federal requirements are?
If you're talking about design standards, Caltrans, we confirmed with FHWA that the Caltrans design standards equal or exceed the standards in the AASHTO Green Book that the feds use. So they defer to Caltrans standards. And then as far as funding, the money is federal funding that comes down to the state to be spent according to our National Highway System routes and our asset management plan that we're going to be developing hopefully in April of next year. So it's a lump sum payment down to the state is what it is.
Just the tentacles, you know.
Right. Once the lump sum comes down and we develop our performance measures on our NHS system in the state, then it's up to us. We'll have to provide the performance measure standards to the feds for their review. But once it's endorsed, then we spend the money as we see fit on the system.
All right. Yes, Joe.
So when I looked at the second attachment at the bottom of the first page where it talks about this will, I think the language was, provide standard 12-foot travel lanes with 8-foot paved shoulders and be designed as state standard design. So all of Highway 4 that we're talking about from Stockton up to Angels Camp, we would lose any flexibility at looking at the existing topography and maybe improving the current Highway 4 region from Copper to Angels Camp, and it couldn't be improved unless it met this standard as you've got everywhere else now, basically the 70-mile-an-hour standard that you have, that I've seen.
Subject to context-sensitive solutions, which is in our design manual. So until the facility is touched, until a project is programmed, there's no requirement to upgrade it. Once you do engage in a project development process,
Which we are.
which you are, then context-sensitive solutions applies, and aesthetics, cultural impacts, environmental impacts,
Okay.
right away, all those constraints come into the picture. So though we have 8-foot shoulders as our design standard and 12-foot travelways, if there are constraints, then design exceptions will be prepared to accommodate those contexts, the context of the project.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments on this item? And I do note that the Board of Supervisors has already taken action on this, and Mr. Hannum said that the city basically just did it as well. So we're following in the local agency's lead, along with Mr. Debbie's promise not to be obnoxious. So we should be in good stead here. Chair is open to a motion on this item. This is a minute order.
Okay, yes.
I'll make a motion.
Councilmember Combs makes the motion.
Second?
Councilmember Gomes seconds the motion. I'll call for the vote unless there's any questions from the audience. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none noted. Passes on a 601 vote of the board. Okay, item, except on number 16. This is an information item. Ms. Collins, this is a closeout of the new plan, which is basically our GIS info system and update. If you could lead that discussion, please.
I'll try to keep this brief since I provided a summary report. So this is just a presentation of the summary report of the data and development project. The report was submitted to Caltrans to close the grant out. Also provide an overview and documentation of the Calaveras system model. Really the main outcome that was the success of this course was the coordination between the general plan update, land use, and our grant model, and really working closely with the planning department to incorporate the general plan update and land use map, their growth projections, and bridge that gap between land use growth and our plan model, and we'll use that for their general plan update. Moving forward, we're going to build on this work through the Tri-County grant with Young Door and Follow Me. I believe it was in April that I did kind of presented that grant that they got approved through Caltrans. This work will be more of a focus on improvement of our modeling tools, creating new plans, creating some GIS modeling tools, and upgrading our COG model, really to be more useful in new changing rules and regulations with MAP 21, and even CEQA changes and travel plan modeling through SB 743, and it's just to develop more monitoring tools, performance measurements, and kind of showing where the need is when we do grant applications. This will be kind of the main focus of this next grant. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the summary report or the work that was done, or maybe any upcoming work that will be done.
Questions or comments? Well, I know you've been working on this and following it for quite some time, Amber, so, overall, I think it's been very good, but the actual functionality of it depends on if it's used. Do you feel that you're using it and the county's using it and you're getting, basically the bang for the buck and the amount of time that we put into it at this point? Is it making an impact?
Yeah, I think, it could be used in several different ways, and I think we found a way to make it useful for the county in this juncture with their, they've been doing their general plan update for several years, and we've been trying to coordinate, this process with that process. And I think we came up with a really good solution in how we can utilize this work to assist them with their general plan update and save them some resources and money as well. But I think...
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, it helped us develop kind of a baseline. We did a lot of data gathering, obtaining current and accurate data, and to have a system of maintaining that, getting in-house GIS capabilities. So we got a lot out of this one.
Well, I hope so. I mean, my experience through the years has been that, we'll take on something like this, and not this in particular, but you may hire some consultants and they'll put $100,000 to $200,000 of work into something, and they'll produce a really nice manual that, the CAO's office puts on their shelf, and then it never comes and sees the light of day. And I would just hope that this is not like that. I mean, this is a functional tool. It is very powerful if it's used correctly and it's used to the limits of its capability. And I would hope that you continue to push on that with the planning department especially.
Very good.
They know this.
Yeah, I think Amber is absolutely right. Amber worked closely with our new planning director, Peter Maurer, and I think that was one of the strengths and the great accomplishments. I want to commend Amber for her work on this effort and then her work with the planning department, because they definitely put this resource to work for them. They use the outputs for this as inputs to the travel demand model. And one of the things that we utilized this grant for was not just to rely on outside consultants, but to grow our in-house capabilities. And so through this grant, Amber has received GIS training. She's received the U-Plan experience. We're working on bringing our travel demand model in-house so that our planning staff and public works staff at the city and county will be able to utilize COG as a resource. And so I think for that reason, this was a very successful opportunity, not just for our partnership with the planning department, but for the COG as well. And we look forward to growing these functions as we come back to you in our strategic planning process, because I think it's a valuable tool.
It certainly is, and I would just echo that as well, and just kind of look through council member supervisor heads and ratify it. Very powerful tool, make sure when you're going through that general plan update that they're out there using it. So. Okay, very good.
I have an additional question
Sure.
and comment. Yeah, I see this as a real great opportunity as an economic development tool to just do some what-if scenarios and modeling. Destination Angels Camp recently hired Amy Augustine to do a consulting contract to do a commercial property inventory, and they're going to utilize some of your services. Will that incorporate utilizing some of the information?
Yeah, that we've developed through this process, absolutely.
Good. Good. I'm anxious to see the results.
Which is kind of convenient, actually, because Amy is the one that's working on our general plan as well.
Oh.
So she's pretty fit right in there with it. She knows the process. It's actually really consistent.
Very good. Okay, we'll move on then to item number 17. Ms. Kane, you're up again. This is a minute order approving the Calaveras Council of Governments social media standards and procedures with direction to amend the Council of Governments policies and procedures manual. Would you lead us through the discussion, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff recommends council approve Calaveras Council of Governments social media standards and procedures with direction to amend the Calaveras Council of Governments policies and procedures. The COG plans to use social media outlet to increase community awareness and understanding of the organization. COG will market public hearings, workshops, the Walk and Bike Calaveras website, the COG website, community events, and unmet transit needs. These social media standards, procedures, manual cover staff usage, general public participation, records management, social media advertisements, disclaimers, and the definitions. If there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, and Jim, obviously you've looked at this as well, and you're comfortable with the changes to the policies and procedures manual?
I thought Carly did a great job putting this together and taking me through the learning curve on social media.
Are you tweeting now?
I don't know Twitter if I would do it.
Me too, well said.
None of this stuff makes you nervous?
Yeah.
It's good. Well done.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you, Carly. Other questions or comments on this item?
I just noticed what appears to be one omission on is it's under Roman numeral 4 procedures. The first bullet says the administrative, I think the word assistant was omitted.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I don't see where you're at, but Carly, you got that? Okay. Any other questions or comments or items that you want to point out for clarification or change? Okay, the chair, comments on this from the public? Dave, stop tweeting back there. Okay, chair is open to a motion on item number 17.
So moved.
Second. Councilmember Edson and Councilmember Heminger move and second the item. I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none noted. Passes on a 601 vote board. And we will move to item number 18, staff reports. Amber, apparently you have a couple of information items that you want to bring to us.
I provided a staff report of information about some of the planning projects we're working on. The regional bicycle, pedestrian, and safe routes to school plan, the short range transit plan update, and the Angels Camp State Route 449 Gateway Corridor study. So if you come forward with questions on this, then I'm happy.
Okay, any questions or comments? None noted. This is information only. Is that for both A and B? Your report that you
This is for A.
Melissa Raggio is not here this evening, so we will not be providing her administrative service officer report.
All right, that's fine. Okay, then if there's no other comments on that, I'll move to item number 19. I'm going to turn the chairmanship over to Supervisor Edson, Councilmember Edson, who will like to make a presentation at this time.
Sure. So I'd actually like to read this first.
Sure.
So we did thanks to COG and a lot of volunteers, including Mr. Getney, we did a historic San Andreas cleanup, community cleanup day. And I want to thank you to all the volunteers and staff who participated in the cleanup. There was opportunities during the weeks heading up to and including Saturday, August 9th, when the historic San Andreas cleanup happened. It was a fun day. It was a fun day. We actually found a peach tree on the side of the road there that was producing some really great white that we couldn't see before. And so there's approximately 90 people that participated. By removing 10 yards of compostable waste and tree brush trimmings, picking up over 100 bags, a total of over 14 cubic yards of vegetation, trash, and debris along the Highway 49 just in San Andreas. That's not even on the outskirts, that's in town. There are many volunteers. I have a list of them here, but including Kate, who's right back here, Kate Allen. And So your help was greatly appreciated. We look forward to seeing you for the next year's historic San Andreas Community Cleanup Day. I have a feeling it'll be a little bigger next year because I got a lot of people commenting on it and say they want to be a part of it for next year, including a bunch of kids. So we're going to try to, high school age kids, we're going to try to do that. So with that, I'd like to present something to Mr. Getney, actually. So you know I couldn't have done this without you. So it's a certificate of recognition presented to John Getney. It says the Calaveras Council of Governments and San Andreas community would like to thank you for supporting and creation of the first annual historic San Andreas Community Cleanup Day. Because of your efforts, approximately 90 people participated by removing 10 yards of possible waste and tree bush trimmings, picking up over 100 bags and a total of 14 cubic yards of vegetation, trash, and debris along Highway 49. And that's after the Community Covenant Church clean. So you've seen what we. So John, here's the. John stepped up to the plate, and then he stepped into it. And we're going to take the next step, right, in Raleigh Springs. So thank you for this clean. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well done, John. I expect John to harvest the peaches and bring a peach next week. If you could, that would be great. Okay, are there any other council members that would like to report on any activities they have this evening? I'll look to my left, John, Gus.
Just to comment again on this cleanup. I happened to be driving through San Andreas that very next morning, and it was immediately obvious as I'm coming down the hill into town that something was different. And it took a second, and then when I started seeing the bags still stacked along the side of the road, it made a very, very positive statement. And I tell you, it looked beautiful all the way through town. You guys did a great job.
Absolutely.
You know, we have a great group of folks in San Andreas that are constantly working to better our community, and they just, I mean, have been for years, really. But this effort actually happened because COG.
Because of John.
Yeah. And Kaylee got this group together, and I was just kind of like, it was nice just to go along, with what they were telling me what to do. For once, I just stood there, I'll go over there and cut brush. But it was, if you went through the town that day, you looked up and down the town, and all you see is a bunch of people working. And John's over there with his hard hat on, cutting brush, and everybody was. Kate was out there. We all worked pretty hard that day. We finished it. We started at 7, and I think we were finished up by 11? Wow.
And had lunch by 11.
Yeah. So it was just goes to show you when a community gets together and works together, how well things can work and get done. So I was just ecstatic. Thank you very much.
Very good. Jim, you have any? Okay. Well, I hope somewhere along the line you guys get the picture of Melissa and Carly and the other Melissa with their hard hats on, using the business ends of a shovel. I think that should be in the office.
Well, you guys going to put it on Facebook?
Oh, no.
We can put this on Facebook?
Yeah. Or you can do that.
That's great.
Okay. Well, thank you for all coming this evening. We will return to our October 1st meeting, same time, same place, and have a good month. Thank you.